News when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Amy Morris. And there's your closing bell for this Monday on Wall Street, where traders bet the government shutdown may be ending within days. We'll have more details on that for you just ahead. But first, we bring you the closing numbers each day here at Bloomberg. The S&P 500 gained 104 points. NASDAQ gained 523 points. And the Dow is up 381 points. The 10-year Treasury yield at 4.11% and the 2-year yield at 3.58%. And Warren Buffett says he'll be going quiet, meaning he will no longer be writing Berkshire Hathaway's annual report nor speaking at its annual shareholder meeting. Warren Buffett is 95 years old. He does plan to step down as CEO of Berkshire Hathaway at the end of this year. He's also donating more than $1.3 billion of Berkshire Hathaway shares to 4 family foundations. And the government is still days away from reopening as Congress works through all the procedures to pass a continuing resolution. House Speaker Mike Johnson is urging Democrats and Republicans come back to Capitol Hill so they can vote on this stopgap measure.
I'm stating the obvious to all my colleagues, Republicans and Democrats in the House, you need to begin right now returning to the Hill. We have to do this as quickly as possible. Now, we look forward to the government reopening this week so Congress can get back to our regular legislative session. We have a lot of business to do, as you all know, and we will be working in earnest.
Republican leader John Thune urged all senators to not stand in the way of unanimous consent to proceed quickly to a final vote.
Mr. President, I said that we will be voting on the final package in the very near future. And I'm hoping that will be hours and not days.
Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries says House Democrats will hold a strategy session. They'll evaluate the bill once it passes the Senate.
No matter what comes over to us from the United States Senate, we're not going to support a partisan Republican spending bill that continues to gut the health care of the American people. And if it doesn't happen this week, next week, this month, next month, then it's the fault of Donald Trump, House and Senate Republicans.
The White House expressed support for the bipartisan deal to end the U.S. shutdown, which makes it likely the government reopens within days, maybe by the end of this week. But until then, flight disruptions and food aid delays will continue. And President Trump urged air traffic controllers who have missed work during the shutdown return to their posts. He threatened on social media to withhold their pay for those who did not show up and promised a $10,000 bonus for those workers who never did take time off during the shutdown. Now, that would have to be approved by lawmakers. It's not part of the deal to reopen the government. Air Traffic Controllers Union President Nick Daniels responded to the president's post.
So I'll take anything that recognizes these hardworking men and women, but we'll work with the administration on any issues that are out there. Air traffic controllers have continued to show up during this shutdown. They absolutely not only deserve their pay, they deserve to be recognized.
Air traffic controllers have worked without pay since the shutdown began October 1st, and the government has mandated restrictions on travel at key hubs. Now, the Trump administration is also asking the Supreme Court to keep full food aid payments on hold. Today's request is the latest in a legal fight over how SNAP can keep operating during the government shutdown. The Agriculture Department says it should not be forced to use emergency funds for SNAP because they might be needed elsewhere. The justices are expected to decide tomorrow whether to halt those orders amid signs the shutdown could soon come to an end. And the Supreme Court will not reconsider its 2015 decision legalizing same-sex marriage. The justices left intact a jury finding against Kim Davis. She's a former Kentucky County clerk who was ordered to pay $360,000 for defying that ruling. The Supreme Court's denial of review was a victory for David Ermold and David Moore. That's the couple unable to get a marriage license when Davis was the county clerk. And the Supreme Court will decide whether states can count late-arriving mail ballots. 18 states and the District of Columbia accept mailed ballots received after Election Day as long as they're postmarked on or before that date. The case will be argued in the late winter or early spring, and a final ruling is expected by late June. That is in time for the 2026 midterm elections. Fed Governor Stephen Miron says better than expected inflation data and signs of continued weakness in the job market call for a third consecutive interest rate cut in December. He supports a half-point cut. St. Louis Fed President Alberto Musalem says the U.S. economy has been pretty resilient, but he still urges caution.
In the past year, the real federal funds rate has declined by 250 basis points. Of that, 150 basis points have been reductions in the nominal interest rate to provide insurance to the labor market. in it and to keep the labor market around full employment.
St. Louis Fed President Alberto Musalem on Bloomberg's Open Interest. San Francisco Fed President Mary Daly says the Fed needs to avoid the mistake of holding rates too long.
While I'm looking for productivity gains and seeing if they're going to continue, I'm also keeping my eye completely focused on inflation to make sure that it doesn't pick up in a way that would suggest we need to do more or we need to hold longer.
San Francisco Fed President Mary Daly on Bloomberg Intelligence. Apple is reportedly delaying the release of next year's version of the iPhone Air after the first model sold below expectations. The information reports the next iPhone Air won't be released in fall of 2026 as previously planned, and Apple has already sharply scaled back production of the first version. Apple has stopped short of canceling the product altogether, and it is possible that it is undergoing a significant redesign. That's news when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Amy Morris. This is Bloomberg.